Hi everyone, welcome to today's session. As illustrated there, my name is Matthew McNight. I'm part of the Autodesk team, part of the technical team. And one thing you might be wondering though is why is a manufacturing guy standing here at a construction forum? And hopefully actually, based on what I'm hearing today, the message that I'll share with you today should align well with a lot of the conversation that's taken place so far. It's largely off the back of a lot of the convergence of industry. And manufacturing is a part of that construction convergence that's taking place. More broadly, if we look at a lot of the macroeconomic conditions that are driving a lot of this transformation, you'll see that population growth is significantly increasing. You can see here by 2050 it's expected to double. Global construction output will significantly increase over the next half decade. As a result of that, and we've started to see this over the last couple of years, there's a lot of demand for building products. And as a result of that, and in many ways these are subsequent consequences of each other, customers and companies are looking at digitizing, transforming the way that they do things so they can be more effective, they can be more efficient, they can be more productive in the way that they do things. Now, beyond that, there's a number of trends that are also changing this as well. Sustainability, that was spoken about a little bit earlier. Everyone's pushing towards a more sustainable future. BIM is a driving force in the construction industry. I'm not necessarily going to cover a lot there, but the digitization of construction is certainly an element where we've seen rapid transformation over the last decade. Like I said, from the manufacturing perspective, a lot of that is driving the industrialization of construction. Steve highlighted this in a project that he's working on as well. And the consumer demand, the end user of the products, is driving a lot of change around intelligence, smart buildings. And then there's a lot of government regulation that's driving transformation as well. So there's a lot of elements that are contributing towards the need to do things differently. On top of this, there's also a number of challenges and risks. There's a lot of collaboration inside of an AEC project. There's a lot of stakeholders that we need to work with. There's a lot of market disruption that's taking place. We've only got to look over the last 3-4 years at a lot of the disruption that's happened. And this is driven to a lot of pressures. Now, companies want things on demand. They effectively want the things immediately. They don't want to have to wait. Subsequently, some of the risks, though, for companies is that they become a commodity. We need to avoid just becoming another supplier of a product. How can we differentiate ourselves? And that comes down to product differentiation. What's the unique experience? What's the differentiating factor that we can provide as a part of the service or the product that we offer? And there's also a lot of cost pressures that are coming about as well. We're seeing a push to become more productive, efficient, to reduce our costs, but also at the same time as maintaining, if anything, increasing our profit margins as well. So what we're hearing, and this is not uncommon in the construction industry, it's more broad than that, is there's a lot of disruption that's taking place. But at the same time, this disruption provides us with a really unique opportunity. I'm going to touch on a number of the various different elements that contribute towards this. The first of which is talking about mass customization. And so if we look at this, this can be broken into numerous different areas. Design automation. How can we transform the way that we design products? So instead of engineers, architects working on a product laboriously, we can look at ways, tools, processes that we can optimize to automate. We've spoken about AI. It's been a conversation, a talking point today as well. New product introduction. How can we bring products to market sooner, making sure that those products also meet market expectations? Another area is sales automation. I'll actually focus on this one. The purpose of which is customers now have got an increasing demand for products that are not only innovative, but also suit specific needs, their specific needs, customized to their wants. And as part of that, we need to transform the way that we engage and work with our customers. You'll see that in this video, in the way that we have enabled this. So in this instance, we've actually worked inside of Inventor. This is a chiller unit used common within sort of the construction environment. You can see here that as opposed to an engineer spending potentially hours or days configuring a design, they can do this in minutes using some of the design automation processes within inside of the technology. Beyond that though, we're able to take this and embed this onto a website where an end user, a customer, can go and configure their own design. There's no need for a salesperson, there's no need for a technical person, an engineer. The customer can actually go onto the website. They've got the embedded technology, it's got the smarts, it understands the limitations, the requirements of the design, it can give the information around drawings, specifications, and as a result of that, the customer then can put forward an RFQ as part of that next step in getting their project on the move. Now, we'll skip ahead in a moment to look at the subsequent steps beyond this to understand a little bit more of what follows on. Another area of focus is design collaboration. And there are numerous elements associated with this. Data management. Data management is a key to an organization. The way that we're capturing, storing, centralizing it, but making sure that we're effectively using it, minimizing duplication, making sure that we're all using the same versions, making sure that we're not inadvertently using the wrong information. Collaborating across stakeholders. So rather than just working in one department, we're working across multiple different departments and disciplines. Working with the engineering team, maybe we're working with the sales team, the production team, quality, maybe even potentially working with a customer. And that moves us to the point of supply chain. So supply chain, how can we bring in external stakeholders as part of that conversation as well? How can we include them as part of that collaborative workflow that we need to work on? Now, as part of that, there's a number of different elements. Like I said, data management. How can we centralize a lot of this information? How can we, at the same time, don't impose a lot of barriers, but manage the information so that we're effectively using it to minimize a lot of the downstream consequences that can come by not managing it effectively. Like I said, internal collaboration. How can we work across the various different stakeholders? How can we improve the decision-making process that we have? In this illustration, we'll actually look at a construction project. Probably quite common that you would see that's being developed around the city. But in this instance, there's a need for a manufacturer to work as part of that workflow. In this area, we're able to segregate a part of the design from our Revit model and bring that information into a manufacturing tool, Inventor, where we can create an associative link. So any changes to one design are inadvertently updated to the other design. We can capture the information, the design intent, the design state, all of the information that's required for the manufacturer to be able to work inside of that environment. And then they can go about creating the geometry, creating the design, capturing the intent of what the architect, the customer, the designer wants us to have as part of that. You can see here that they're creating a structural member as outlined. Now the good thing is that this is associative. So once the mechanical engineer or the designer has gone through the process of designing this product, any changes made within sort of the Revit file then flow through to the mechanical design inside of Inventor. So it minimizes the inadvertent changes that might subsequently mean that this product may have been made inaccurately. The designer then can go on and do simulation, can go and do production drawings, and this product can be released for fabrication and manufacture and delivery to site to be installed. If we look at supply chain management, like I said, this is about bringing a broader range of people even beyond, say, the design team as part of that conversation. I'll bring you back to the video we had a moment ago where we're looking at the chiller unit. Chiller unit's gone through the process of being put in an RFQ. Well, now we're inside of that business and we're looking at various different stakeholders through an organisation and how they can be part of that process. So you might have a salesperson, the customer, the engineer, a project manager, someone in production that is part of that workflow. They've each got control as defined in the life cycle of that product to own a role and a responsibility of making sure that the product's going to be made meets the expectation of their role, their responsibilities. Does it meet what my requirements are as a customer, as a production engineer, as a designer, as quality? And you can see here on the screen a typical layout of what that life cycle might look like. Another area that companies are also focusing on is flexible manufacturing. There's a few different areas, and a couple that I'll highlight here is bills of material management and the factory design. Now, in this instance, bills of material is actually a really critical part. It almost comes back to the collaboration conversation. The purpose of which is to try and minimise a lot of the rework, which is often a consequence of not managing your data effectively. We hear it, we see it, it's an area that we're focused on addressing, and there are tools available that can help with this. Beyond that, there's also the factory layout. So in an environment where you're manufacturing, say a prefab area, or you've got a production of building products, we can actually help customers optimize the layout of their factory floor. We can look at the factory space, incorporating a lot of information, scan data, BIM content, manufacturing environment, 2D, 3D. As part of that, we can look at optimization of the workflows through the factory. We can look at times, delays, bottlenecks in the processes to try and make sure that that factory design can meet expectations before we've actually even started work on the project itself. And finally, the customer experience. There's a number of areas to focus on here. Information that you're providing to the customer. How do we get that? In what format? How can we support them as part of this? Project execution. This is bringing together all of the stakeholders so that we're working with them as part of a team, that they are included in the decision-making process, so that they're collaborating effectively across that. And then beyond that, project delivery. How we're actually delivering the project or the products, the timelines, meeting the expectations of our customers, the roles and the responsibilities that we have. Again, another area is BIM content. It's a really critical topic. How can we bring all of this information together? And manufacturing customers and companies play a critical role in that process as well. You can see here a large chiller design. I think the total number of parts is almost 3,000. There's 480 odd unique parts. So it's a reasonable size assembly. But a lot of this information isn't critical to a construction company. They just want to be able to understand the footprint, where all of the connections are to this object. And you can see here inside of the environment, we're able to quickly reconfigure the design to capture just the information that's critical to a construction company. Now, what may have taken days, potentially, or weeks to do, we can potentially do in minutes. And this information then can be leveraged downstream along with all of the other information that's required in quite a seamless collaborative workflow. So if we look at some customer success stories associated with this, I've picked out a few that illustrate some of what we've been talking about. This is ViewRail. They're a staircase manufacturer in North America. They actually went from using 2D to 3D, and they used a lot of the automation tools that I spoke about a little bit earlier. They went from producing 3 staircases a week up to 150 projects a month. Quite a considerable turnaround in their productivity and efficiency. Another company here is Falkbuilt. And what they did is they created a startup around shipping products that enabled for emergency shelters. And what they're effectively able to do is they can ship product in 3 days from the time from order. They can actually have dozens built in a week. And a lot of this comes back to the way that they collaborate and work across their disciplines inside their organisations as well. Starline Windows, they're working more effectively with a lot of stakeholders and collaborators, both internal and external of their business, to help automate their process, a lot of which is document related. And Benson Industries, they're a curtain wall manufacturer. Again, another North American-based customer. Their designs were reduced by 50% and their errors were lowered by 40% as a result of a lot of the workflows, in particular around the data management and the collaboration elements that we spoke about a little bit earlier. So coming back to the disruption conversation and round this out, disruption creates lots of opportunity for you. In what ways? By providing a unique customer experience, by challenging the status quo. Steve spoke about a lot of this earlier. You've got to be unique. You need to be able to stand out from the crowd. By connecting elements like data and process across your organisation to try and break down those barriers, to try and include everyone in not only design teams, more broadly through the organisation, even with external stakeholders. To move from being a supplier to a partner, we need to move away from a commodity product to a value conversation with your customers. How can you draw them into the business model that you have? Additionally, new business models. This is relevant to the increase of smart products. So instead of providing a product, how can you provide a service? So I'll get you to take a moment. Have a consideration, have a think about all of the topics today and the value that they provide in providing a better opportunity for you. Thank you.